Archduke Franz Ferdinand was a very important man. He was the heir to the throne of a vast and powerful empire. This was the Austro-Hungarian Empire. It was a huge collection of different lands and peoples in the middle of Europe. Many different groups lived there. They spoke different languages. They had their own cultures. Franz Ferdinand was next in line to become the emperor. This meant he would one day rule over all these people. His uncle, Emperor Franz Joseph, was old. Everyone knew that Franz Ferdinand would soon be in charge. This made him a figure of immense significance, not just within his own empire, but across the entire continent of Europe. His importance was tied to the future of this great empire. The Austro-Hungarian Empire was often called a powder keg. This was because it was full of tension. Many of the groups within it wanted to be independent. They did not want to be ruled by the Austrians and Hungarians. Serbs, Croats, Czechs, and others dreamed of having their own countries. Franz Ferdinand had ideas about how to solve these problems. He thought about giving some groups more power. He wanted to reform the empire to make it stronger and more stable. These ideas made some people hopeful, but they also made other people very angry and suspicious of his future plans. Franz Ferdinand's position made him a symbol. To many, he represented the power of the old ruling families of Europe. He was part of the Habsburg dynasty, a family that had ruled for centuries. His marriage to Sophie Chotek was controversial because she was not from a royal family. This showed he was a man who could be stubborn and determined. As the future emperor, his every move was watched. His political views could shape the destiny of millions. European leaders in places like Germany, Russia, and Britain paid close attention to him. They knew that the future of the Austro-Hungarian Empire was key to keeping peace in Europe. Because he was the heir, his safety was very important. Any threat against him was a threat against the empire itself. He was also the Inspector General of the army. His military role often required him to travel and inspect his troops. It was one of these duties that would take him to a city in the southern part of his empire. This city was called Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia. The region was full of people who did not want to be part of his empire. They wanted to join with the neighboring country of Serbia. This made his planned visit a very risky and dangerous undertaking. It placed him directly in a hotbed of political unrest. The day was June 28, 1914. It was a sunny summer day in Sarajevo. Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie arrived for their official visit. They were there to inspect the imperial soldiers. The city was decorated with flags of the empire. Crowds of people lined the streets to see the royal couple. They were traveling in an open-topped car. This made them very visible to everyone. Security was surprisingly light for such an important visit. The Archduke and his wife smiled and waved to the people. They wanted the visit to seem friendly and normal despite the known political tensions in the region. As their car drove along the main road, danger was waiting. A group of young assassins had placed themselves along the route. They were part of a secret society. The first attempt on the Archduke's life happened early in the procession. One of the assassins threw a bomb at the Archduke's car. However, the driver saw it and sped up. The bomb bounced off the back of the car and exploded under the next vehicle in the motorcade. It injured several people, but Franz Ferdinand and Sophie were unharmed. The Archduke was angry, but decided to continue with his planned schedule after checking on the wounded. After a tense reception at the town hall, Franz Ferdinand made a fateful decision. He wanted to visit the people who were injured by the bomb in the hospital. This was not part of the original plan. His route had to be changed. Unfortunately, there was great confusion about the new directions. The drivers were not all properly informed of the change of plans. The convoy of cars started to head back out into the city. This confusion would prove to be a deadly mistake. It set the stage for the second and ultimately successful attempt on his life that day. The driver of the Archduke's car took a wrong turn. He followed the original, planned route by mistake. He turned onto a side street named Franz Joseph Street. When he was told he had gone the wrong way, he stopped the car to turn around. By a terrible twist of fate, the car stopped right in front of a cafe. And standing there just a few feet away was another one of the assassins. This assassin had thought the plot had failed. He could not believe his luck. The Archduke's car was stopped, completely exposed right in front of him. It was the perfect, unplanned opportunity. The man standing there was Gavrilo Princip. He was only 19 years old. He was a Bosnian Serb. Princip was a member of a secret revolutionary group called the Black Hand. This group had a very clear goal. They wanted to free all Slavic people from the rule of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. They dreamed of creating a bigger, more powerful Serbian nation, a greater Serbia. To them, Franz Ferdinand was not just a man. He was the living symbol of the empire they hated. He represented the foreign power that was occupying their lands and oppressing their people. Princip and his fellow assassins were driven by nationalism. This is a powerful belief that your own country and people are the most important. They felt that Bosnia, which had been annexed by Austria-Hungary in 1908, rightfully belonged to Serbia. They were willing to die for this cause. The date of the visit, June 28th, was also significant. It was a very important and symbolic day in Serbian history, known as St. Vitus Day. For Serbian nationalists, the Archduke's visit on this particular day was seen as a deliberate insult. It strengthened their resolve to act against him. When Gavrilo Princip saw the car stop in front of him, he did not hesitate. He stepped forward from the pavement, pulled out his pistol and fired 2 shots. The first bullet hit the Archduke in the neck. The second bullet hit his wife, Sophie, in the stomach. The car sped away towards the governor's residence for help, but it was too late. Sophie died first. Franz Ferdinand's last words were reportedly, "Sophie, Sophie, don't die, live for our children." A few minutes later, the Archduke himself was dead. The heir to the throne of the Austro-Hungarian Empire had been killed. Princip was arrested immediately. He and the other assassins were caught and put on trial. During his trial, Princip explained his reasons. He said he did not hate the Archduke personally. He stated that he was a Yugoslav nationalist aiming to unite all Yugoslavs, and he saw the Archduke as a tyrant who stood in the way of that dream. He believed that this violent act was necessary to achieve his political goals. He thought killing the future emperor would trigger a revolution that would finally free his people. He had no idea that his actions would instead trigger a catastrophic world war. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand did not happen in a vacuum. Europe in 1914 was a continent of complex alliances. Countries had promised to defend each other if they were attacked. There were 2 main alliance blocs. One was the Triple Entente, which included France, Russia, and Great Britain. The other was the Triple Alliance, made up of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. These alliances were like a series of tripwires. If one was triggered, it could set off a chain reaction across the entire continent. The assassination was the spark that lit this incredibly dangerous fuse. Austria-Hungary was furious about the assassination. They blamed the country of Serbia for helping the assassins. They believed the Serbian government had supported the Black Hand. Austria-Hungary wanted to punish Serbia and crush the nationalist movements for good. However, they were worried about Russia. Russia saw itself as the protector of all Slavic peoples, including the Serbs. So, Austria-Hungary asked its powerful ally Germany for support. Germany gave them what is now called a blank check. This meant Germany promised to help Austria-Hungary no matter what they decided to do. With Germany's backing, Austria-Hungary sent a list of impossible demands to Serbia. This was called the July Ultimatum. Serbia accepted most of the demands, but not all of them. This was the excuse Austria-Hungary needed. On July 28, 1914, exactly 1 month after the assassination, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. This declaration started the domino effect. Russia, to protect Serbia, began to mobilize its massive army. Germany saw the Russian mobilization as a threat and declared war on Russia. Then Germany declared war on France, Russia's ally, and invaded Belgium to get to Paris quickly. This invasion of neutral Belgium was the final step. Great Britain had promised to protect Belgium's neutrality. When German troops crossed the border, Britain had to act. It declared war on Germany on August 4, 1914. Within just a few weeks, a regional conflict between Austria-Hungary and Serbia had exploded into a full-scale European war. The intricate web of alliances had pulled every major power into the fight. The single act of Gavrilo Princip had started the First World War, a conflict that would change the world forever, topple empires, and cost millions of lives. The shot in Sarajevo truly was the shot heard around the world.